Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Oskar Blues Brewing Company out of, I know they're in Colorado, I forget the town. Longmont, Colorado. Damn, that's took me a while to find. So this is the first stovepipe beer I've done from them, which is their 19.2 ounce cans, which is kind of similar in a competitor to Bombers, but Bombers are 22. This is 19.2. I don't know where they came up with that that number, but it's basically, I think it's 1.6 12-ounce servings, if I remember the math right. So maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know. But this is a variant of their 1050 Imperial Stout. This is the Java one, aged in bourbon barrels. So they distribute the barrel aged one now, but the variants of the barrel aged ones, like this one, the Javanella, they've done a bunch. They did a Mocha one. Those are all only released, as far as I know, at the brewery in Colorado and then at the brewery in North Carolina. I got this at the brewery in North Carolina. And this is, so on the bottom of the can it says 12.9. On the sticker on the side it says 12.2. So it's either one of those or somewhere in between, or neither one, I don't know. But I'm guessing it's one of those things. I could see that maybe this batch was 12.9, so they put that on the can, but there's a sticker that says 12.2. It's not like it's on the label, so that doesn't really make sense to me, but I don't know. Either way, it's a massive beer. And I have not had this one yet, so I'm pretty excited. I've had the Javanella one, which was really great. I got that not too long ago when it was fresh. This can is a little aged, which generally you don't want to age coffee beers, but given that it's in bourbon barrels, even if the coffee faded some, it still should be pretty good. And I know the base of this is always good, so I definitely have high hopes for this one for sure. Just trying to make sure I get like half. It's about half. So as you can see, it pours a very, very dark brown to black color with a slightly less than one finger's worth of tan head that's definitely sticking around. There's definitely a good amount of oaky bourbon character. I'm not really getting any like actual spirit, which is good for such a big beer. There is a little bit of a roasty coffee character, but I'm also picking up something that's like metallic, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But sometimes I get that in some stouts and then I taste it and I don't really taste it. So I'm hoping that's the case. If it's just the aroma, then I can deal with that. But I'm hoping that the flavor is not like super metallic. But if I can get beyond that, there is a lot of nice bourbon character in this. I am getting some dark chocolate and some roasty notes, so we'll see. Yeah, so I am not getting any of those metallic notes in the flavor at all, which is a good thing. But my God, does that thing taste like bourbon. Holy hell. I love bourbon, so it's not a bad thing, but holy crap is this thing hot. It's funny, I guess when you're not completely overloading the beer with under attenuated sugar / malts, then something that's almost 13% is really going to show the alcohol when you really think about it, because a lot of the giant Imperial stouts today that are 13, 14, 15, a lot of them are so sweet that sugar seems to cover up the alcohol a little bit. It almost acts like what's that called? Four Loko in a sense. I mean, it doesn't taste like Four Loko, but the reason Four Loko doesn't taste as strong as it does is because of how sugary it is. And this is it's not super super dry. Like, I would say this is sweeter than Barrel Age Expedition, but it's definitely not even close to what a big massive Imperial Stout is by today's standards, I would say. The mouthfeel is plenty thick. I think that's what I like about it. It's thick, but it's not syrupy because it's not overly sweet. There is a good bit of coffee, and the one thing that I like about barrel-aged coffee beers is a lot of times the bourbon somehow like blankets and covers up the acidity and bitterness from the coffee. So all you're getting is like pure coffee flavor without any of the like side effects like the ashy bitterness or acidity that coffee can have. And that's really playing a role in this too. I'm not getting any sort of over the top roasty character from the coffee or the beer. Lots of dark chocolate, lots of nice, almost like mocha, because probably the dark chocolate notes of the beer, almost like mocha flavors. But there is a good bit of coffee flavor in general, and there's a crap ton of bourbon, and it's not just oaky bourbon. It is the flavor of bourbon burn. It doesn't, I mean, to be honest, to me, it doesn't just taste like a kind of hot 12% beer. It tastes like you already have a 12% beer and you dropped a shot in it. It's like a Boilermaker with a 12% beer. That's kind of how I get at. I'm fine with that. It actually makes, for me, it makes me drink it very slowly and appreciate every sip that I'm taking. But I definitely could see how someone would not be down for that. But I think this is great. I probably prefer the Javanilla one a little bit more because for whatever reason that one is like 14% and I feel like it's less hot than this one, which could just be batch to batch. I don't know. But I will say, so this was canned in October of 2017, and it is June of 2019. So this is getting somewhat close to being 2 years old. It's over a year and a half old. If you told me this just came out recently, I would absolutely believe it. I mean, the coffee is still significantly there. I will say I don't think that age has done anything to mellow the beer as far as alcohol. Maybe it has, and it was even more hot than this before. I have no idea if that's the case. That's crazy, but having this right now gives me more faith of when people are trading like the couple-year-old Bourbon County coffees. I always cringe because I think like the coffee's got to be faded, but this is almost 2 years old, and it definitely has a good bit of coffee character. It's not one of those beers that I would say, well, I wouldn't have known there was coffee in it unless it said it on the label. Like I would, I might not have known from the aroma, even though I definitely picked it up. I feel like, but in the flavor, it is most definitely coffee flavor and not just like roasty flavor from the malts that I would confuse with coffee. And there's just some sort of mix that coffee in beer and barrel aged things have, that it has like this one unique flavor when you join them together. And I definitely get that in this. This is really, really good. This was $12 for this giant 19.2 ounce beer. So that means I'll round it up to 20 ounces for whatever reason. So that means it's $6 for a 10-ounce pour of this. Where else can you find a giant barrel-aged beer that's this quality for that price? Not many places, other than Bell's. Other than Bell's, I can't think of anywhere else. Cigar City just came out with that Bambarana, which, well, that's basically the same company now, so I won't even use that as an example because it's the same thing. There's not many places doing it. Even Founders did their barrel-aged Imperial Stout, which was really, really cheap, but it didn't get distributed. It was just part of that local release, which is unfortunate. But the regular barrel series stuff is still... It's not expensive, but it's not cheap. It's not as cheap as this, so... I would absolutely buy this again in general. It's a really nice, tasty beer. But given the price, there's not many barrel-aged beers you can get for this price that's even close to this good, or definitely not as good. So I think it's worth seeking it out. I'll probably be in Nashville sometime in the near future. So if you see this and you're interested, hit me up and I'll grab some cans. I'm sure they still have some left. They were just sitting in the cooler last time I went. So I think that's all I got in this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.